Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you are watching this. Welcome to Mentor Mornings, my friends, where I share wisdom from people far wiser. Sorry, my dog's barking. You know, the whole purpose of today's show is just to express, this is life. Like, we all have dirty dishes that we got to take care of every single day, right? And I didn't come on with like an agenda to speak about anything. I have some quotes that I pulled, that mean something to me here. And I was just kind of hoping to free flow a little bit about the messiness of life, finding purpose, finding that place where we feel like we can go through life and experience real happiness in our day-to-day experience. It's about, the creation of the reality or the way that we experience life while we're going through it. What I had imagined inside of my head is that I'm busy. I got so many things going on today. I have a pile of dishes here I got to take care of. I got kids upstairs watching a show. I got to take my grandfather some food so that he has some breakfast this morning. And it's just the constant flow. And so I was reading something this morning that really hit home, and that was I was reading something from Stanislav Grof. I don't know if you guys have read any of his stuff, but he was a researcher, and he looked into the deep realms of psychology, of life, of living, beyond what Freud or Jung, or I shouldn't say beyond, I think that he built on it and he took it to a much deeper level. Or Alan Watts, they talk about this transpersonal ego, the part of us that we identify with, our name, who we are, the person that we think we are inside of life. And Stanislav Grof did a lot of research in psychedelics, in holotropic. He worked with psychedelics until it was illegal to do so. But he was one of the first pioneers that really looked into that and some of the experiences that he had personally and that he also spoke about or worked with people was fantastic. And he talks about like these different realms of our beingness, these different realms that influence the people that we are today. And he talks about like a perinatal, and what that is it basically means like it's the moment of birth. It's the moment that our physical body is pushed from within the womb out into the experience of life, and the memories that we hang on to from that physically, stored subconsciously. I don't think many of us can remember the moment of our birth, but our bodies and our subconscious mind was well aware at that time. And so there's intense feelings of hopelessness, intense feelings of anxiety, intense feelings of physical pain. I mean, you think about what an infant has to go through to come out that canal. It's amazing that it's even possible. And so our subconscious hangs on to these things. And there's a reason why I'm talking about this. I know a lot of you probably may have never heard of the rebirthing process or the experience that living that experience, what it does to us on a subconscious level with how we approach life. But a lot of times, there's things inside of our life, you guys have probably noticed this, like where you're going through life and we experience the same things again and again and again, like the same types of experiences. We put ourselves in the same situations. We experience just the same troubles over and over again. And it's easy to point outside and say, well, it's because of X, Y, Z, it's because of this. But really, what if it was the decisions that we were making internally that took us to this place of difficulty, whether we were aware of it consciously or not? By the way, guys, if you appreciate this, could you please hit the thumbs up button? Let other people know that this is a worthwhile video. And also, it kind of tells me, like, keep it going, Nate. Keep on going. And I appreciate that. So, I guess where I'm going with this is that when we are born, our bodies and our brains go through something kind of traumatic. And that can really have an impact in how we see the world, the decisions that we make when we're faced with difficulty, when we feel certain emotions, how it hits us on a physical level or a mental level. And the reason why I'm talking about this is that, today we're going through so many challenging things, right? I mean, we're facing so many challenging situations. And in today's experience, in our experience today, if we go back 1,000 years, the experience was mostly physical. It was based on survival. Our focus was on keeping our families alive, removing the possibility of danger or injury from our life. Where today, for the most part, most of us can live without fear of losing food, of losing, of injury from some kind of wild animal. And because of that, it puts our realm of existence inside of our minds. Now we're more focused, we have more time to contemplate and to feel the things that hold us back inside of our existence from our minds and our brains and the way that we perceive reality. And I think that this is one of the evolutions of mankind, is that we are going within. Like we're spending more time feeling and less time experiencing. And something that Tony Robbins talks about, not to bring him up, but he has fantastic material, as he speaks about life is about feeling. It's about how we feel in our day-to-day experience. Not so much about what we're doing or how we're doing it, even who we're with, but how do we feel going through that? And when we look at a lot of the spiritual gurus, we go back and we look at Buddha. By the way, I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for being with me. If you guys have a question or a thought as I'm rambling here, just drop it, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that come in. I'm looking forward to an open and free discussion. So, like as we're more focused on within, and we're experiencing life as more of an internal focus on feeling, we need to get the tools in place that we can use to help us master that realm. And that's why a lot of the spiritual gurus, they talk about, like Buddha, one of his biggest things is that he said all suffering comes from clinging, from hanging on. And we can go back and look at our experiences in life. When you see somebody inside of your world, inside of your reality, somebody even close to you, and you see them suffering, you see them going through challenging times, it's really easy, is it not, to kind of look at their life and say, oh, if only Bob did X, Y, Z, like his life would be a dream. He already has everything he needs to live a happy and successful life. And when we look outside, like we can see that in other people, yet oftentimes we don't see that within ourselves. And when you think about those other people that you see out there in life, where you see them struggle and you say, if only they would do this, this, this. A lot of what it has to do with is of letting go, isn't it? Letting go. Come in, guys. I had a call come in, so I apologize for that. So it's letting go of the old to make room for the new. It's like releasing the dam. So many times, actually, here, let me start with a new analogy. We're like a funnel. I have a funnel right here. We're like a funnel, and it's like pouring powder down through this funnel. That is the experience of life. Well, over time, that powder or whatever starts to cake up, and pretty soon the flow of life, it's not coming out the bottom anymore. And so, how do we shake that loose? How do we eliminate the powder that's built up inside of there so that life can flow through us again, instead of us clinging and holding and blocking the flow of our experience? And I think this is where looking within has such a profound value. As we're experiencing all this stuff that's going on outside, let me know if that's too loud, if the mic is too loud. As we're experiencing all this stuff that's going on inside of our world, and we feel like this immense pressure and stress of uncertainty, of not knowing what's coming, it becomes even more important to go within and find that place of inner sanctity, of rest, of peace, of centeredness, so that the actions that we take within our lives do not reflect the fear that we are feeling just from a general existence, just from living. Because that's pretty easy to do. It's pretty easy to fall into that trap where we feel we feel fearful. We're worried about our future, because there are very real challenging things that we are all facing right now. And I think the important thing is that when we find that place of centeredness where we feel complete, whole, and powerful inside of our existence, we can move forward. When we think about our purpose on this planet, when we think about our purpose for being here, some of it I believe, and this is just my thoughts, guys. I could be totally wrong. Your experience is way different than mine. All I can do is I can gather from what I see in people around that I love and care about and know, the people that are in my circle, and my own experience. And what I can say is that I think that the purpose of living, the purpose of life, is to either experience or to create. It's either to experience what is right in front of us or to create something, bring something into existence. I don't know where you believe, where your spiritual beliefs are, what you think about the purpose or the meaning of life, or how you see the divine essence that resides all around us or within us or above us, however you see that. But in essence, if we were put here, if we came into this world as a part of, we were a creation of something divine, then is it not our reality? Hey, good morning, Jerry. It's good to see you on here. Is it not like part of our purpose to create? To create and to experience. And this a trap that I've fallen into. And I can just share this because it's something that I've experienced and I know to be true for myself. And that's that I was so focused. I understood, that there was something divine, and I understood that, I wanted to do something with my life where I would feel satisfaction and pleasure in my experience. And I was looking externally for the answer. Like, what is it out there that can give me that? And what is it that I could create? What was my purpose? And what I've and I'm still young, so I'm sure I have a lot to learn. I know that. What I think is I'm understanding more and more, and I'm accepting more and more into myself and into my life, and that's that what is in front of us, where our heart guides us, the passion, the interest that we have, it's real. And so often we ignore it because it doesn't fit the beliefs or the molds or the ideals of society around us or the family around us or our parents or any of that. And so it's like we suppress that down and say, no, that can't be right. It has to be something over here. And so I spent so much time looking over here. Where's my answer? How do I find that place of peace inside myself, satisfaction in who I am? And I'm looking over here, and the whole time it was sitting right beside me. It's with us all the time. And so that's kind of a broad concept, but I think that, like life gives us everything that we need if we're looking for it. It's always right there for us. All we need to do is just see it, to take the time to step back. And with what I was talking about earlier, I was talking about this experience of the prenatal, how the experience of our birthing process, creates certain modes of operation inside of our subconscious. And so that plays out in how we respond to things, or how we think, or how we take stuff on inside of our lives. And so, with Stan Groff talking about that, addressing these deep core subconscious beliefs or perceptions and how we operate within the world can suddenly change our experience of life. If you guys follow or have watched any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's stuff, he speaks about this in depth and about, certain meditation techniques that we can use in order to access and release. And that's kind of the same thing that Stanislav Grof was doing, back in the 70s and 80s and all the way up into the 90s. And what he does is his tool, first it was psychedelics, which are a fantastic tool if they're used properly. I'm not a doctor. I can't say any of that stuff, but you guys hear what I'm saying. So psychedelics for like breaking down those barriers, opening our minds to what is, like pockets of fear. If we're going through life and we experience something and we feel or we register a sense of fear, a sense of panic, a sense of anxiety, like we're running into one of these like perceptual barriers that are inside of our world. And I'm not saying that they're not real. They are totally real. Depression and anxiety, that stuff is legit. It hits so many of us on such a deep level. And yet, inside Western culture and medicine, we look at that and we say that like that's something wrong with the person and that they need to be medicated to take care of it. And me personally, I'm just going to say that that's total garbage. Maybe there are certain times when medication can help a person cross through a challenging, it's like there's this gap or divide in front of them and they need medication to cross that divide so that they can continue on with their journey. Maybe that's it. But I think long term, we all have the ability to heal ourselves and our challenges. You guys, so many people don't want to talk about mental illness, about challenge, about the suffering aspects of life, and yet every single one of us experience it. Every single one of us goes through challenge almost on a daily basis. And the sooner that we speak truly about this stuff, every single one of us experience it. And there's a lot of people that they don't want to talk about it because it makes them feel like maybe they're less than. They don't want to make them most vulnerable. Like if somebody sees me and sees me for who I am, who I truly am on the inside, and they see that I suffer with depression or anxiety, that suddenly they're less than. The reality is that the more that we open up about our experiences of life, the sooner that we all are going to be able to connect on a much deeper level. This journey that we have right now about creating and experiencing as we move through this river of life is only impeded by the things that we are not willing to look at. We are not willing to accept. Depression and anxiety, we have to accept that that's a reality inside of our life before we can even do anything about it and move through it. We have to experience it fully. You know, ever since we were probably kindergartners, we've become very adept at closing off our hearts. If we're inside of an experience that makes us feel uncomfortable or we feel an emotion that we don't like, we shut down. That's just natural. It's just who we are. And so if we can move through to a new state of mind where we can observe, you know, like I've talked about this in a lot of other videos, and a lot of you are probably already aware of this concept, and maybe you're ahead of me, I don't know. But where we can move our awareness and our consciousness outside of the identification with self. And so when we're feeling anger inside of our body, we can recognize it and say, oh, hey, I'm feeling, my body is feeling anger. And instead of trying to fight it, instead of trying to resist it and just keep going with the day and stuffing it down and burying it and locking it inside of our body, we stop and we let ourselves experience it fully. We let ourselves go through it fully. I wasn't planning on talking about that today. That's just funny. It just kind of rolled on out. So let's see here. I grabbed some quotes because I thought that maybe they would help us like on this journey of talking. So Dalai Lama, he says, people take different roads seeking fulfillment and happiness. Just because they're not on your road doesn't mean they've gotten lost. That's powerful. You know, I was talking earlier about when we look at other people's lives and we see them suffering and we see them going through challenge and we think, oh, if only they would just let go of this and move in this direction, they'd find ultimate happiness and peace. They have everything that they need. And yet they're on a totally different path, a completely different place. And each one of our roads, you know, is different. You know, like you may be an artist, you may be a musician, and your ultimate path to peace, like that thing inside you that's calling you to create and to experience inside of your life, may be to draw, or may be to paint, or may be to compose music. It may be to teach children. I don't know. But each one of us have these different gifts inside of us. And we're so stuck inside of this life, this world right now, where we think that, you know, like we're stuck with just trying to provide for our livelihood, to make it to the next day. And it's unfortunate because so many of us miss out on the opportunity to cultivate that thing inside of us that could give us that ultimate peace. There's that thought that, that proverb that basically says, you know, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And so finding that place of inner peace and sanctity and power that's within us all, like it doesn't change really the experience of our day-to-day life. We still have to do the dirty things. Like I still got a pile of dishes I got to wash right here. It's a mess. Not saying that I'm awakened. I guess I have had glimpses. I've been given glimpses into a reality, into the depths of consciousness and divinity. And it was so powerful, my friends. It was so powerful that I am never going to go back to the person that I was before that. And there are truths within me that I don't even know how to express to you. That it's beyond words. And there's this beautiful essence of divinity that surrounds each and every single one of us. And it's guiding us through life, and it's giving us what we need. And I believe that there's this thing that we can do inside of each one of our lives to kind of flow with it, rather than trying to be like the tree trunk stuck in a river. It's like, I'm going to stand my ground. Instead, we flow with it. Helen Keller says, true happiness is not attained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. Fidelity. I mean, it's like being committed to a worthy purpose, to bring beauty into this world, to connect with people, to help people lighten the load a little bit. You know, whatever your purpose is. Here, Abraham Maslow. This goes along with what I was just saying. Musicians must make music. Artists must paint. Poets must write if they are ultimately to be at peace with themselves. That means those natural, inherent gifts, qualities, passions, inside of each and every one of us, they must do that, use that gift ultimately to be at peace with themselves. What humans can be, they must be. What humans can be, they must be. And to touch on something that we've all heard a lot about, what keeps us from grabbing a hold of these things that we could be. Like we talked about, like the perinatal, the stuff when we were born and how we experienced life at that moment and how it created certain subconscious beliefs or attitudes towards life. And then as we go through life, we all experience traumatic events that make certain imprints inside of our experience that affect our perceptions and how we go through and experience everything. The way that we look at certain situations, or we respond to people who are, responding to us. And then there's the final block, and that's the fear of the unknown. Of letting go of what has been or what is in order to make room for what could be. Like when I think about the fear of stepping into the unknown, I think about myself trying to go cliff jumping. You guys want to see something sad and sorry, is me trying to jump off of a cliff. That's like my ultimate terror. I had one time I was sitting there, we were up at some cliffs, and it was little. It was maybe like 15, 20 feet. Help brothers and sisters from Chicago, Christopher the Carpenter. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I have no doubt that you're doing that. It's powerful. I was up on this cliff, and my family was sitting all around me, and they all had to sit there and wait. It took me literally an hour to garner the courage to jump off of this thing. I mean, I finally did it, but it took a lot longer. It was kind of embarrassing. And so, like when we look at these things inside of our life where we're experiencing like suffering, where we know that if we just took this step, if we stepped into this unknown, we could experience something new and incredible inside of our lives. And so how do we get ourselves to take that initial jump? How do we do that? How do we get ourselves to take that first step? Because that initial feeling of when you're getting ready to jump off, or when you've already jumped and you're in the air and you're like, I'm still falling. I'm still falling. When am I going to land? We experience that whenever we try something new inside of our lives. And we talked about earlier, the purpose of life is just experiencing what life is going to give us. We think that there's like this, I have experienced like this. When I read other people's life experiences, they get trapped inside of this belief that what is for us is out there. It's separate from us. Where we're supposed to end up is out there somewhere. And really, it's right here in front of us. It's inside this present moment. And that's where that ultimate joy and peace and satisfaction comes from, is from tuning into that thing that is given to us this present moment. Christopher, your advice is the same advice I give to all youngsters. It's truly the most important advice anyone could ever have. Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think if I had anything else that I wanted to talk about, guys, I think I kind of covered most of it. Let's see here. We'll read another couple of quotes, and if nothing comes to mind or I don't get any questions, I think I'm going to tap out because I got kids to take care of. I got lots of dishes to wash right here. I got breakfast to clean up from. I got to take food over to my grandfather. We got all kinds of good stuff going on. Well, hey, you inspire me, Christopher. You know, I know that you're out there making moves and doing things, and really it's just about, you know, I think what it is it's about when I look at what my experience has been. You know, I wanted to start a YouTube channel back in 2008, 2009. And I look at the people that are still doing YouTube that started then, the people that I started following, and they had like maybe 5,000 subscribers. And today they have millions. I wish that I could go back to that Nate and been like, dude, if you jump right now, there's going to be fantastic things in your future. Yet I didn't. And so I know I can't go back and change that. And maybe I wasn't ready to be doing this right here. But I'm just saying is, you know, like there's that saying that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. It's now. And so wherever you're at in life, there's always a next level, isn't there? There's always something that we can take care of for, you know, like personal discipline. Jerry Miller, just imagine if no one stepped out into the unknown to take a chance, how sad and boring it would be. Totally. It would be sad and boring. Like all of the great stories are about people stepping out into the unknown. You know, that goes back to what Stanislav Grof was talking about is, and also Jung, is when we look, and who's the other one? Joseph Campbell. When we look at this, the different levels of consciousness, we tap into this place of the collective conscious. And they all speak about, like, that's where these mythological legends, these places, these stories, these universal things that we see all across ancient history and ancient culture, they talk about these beautiful things and these stories and demons and gods and superheroes and, you know, all that stuff. And we think, you know, today we think that stuff is just stories, but when you tap into the transpersonal realm through holotropic experiences, whether that's with psychedelics or it's with breathwork, it's possible to tap into these realms of this deep collective subconscious, this deep collective conscious that carries with it the memories and memories of the past, of this collective place of other realms. And when you're in that place, guys, it's so real. It feels more real than the life that we are living right now. And so, what if really the ancient cultures were more in tune with what it means to be human and the purpose of this life? What if they were more in tune with all of that than we are today? I really believe that. I really think that we're in the process of rediscovering our true selves on an extremely deep, you know, spiritual level. I'm talking about beyond the confines of religion. Religion is valuable. I'm not bashing it. True religion is valuable. But what is the truth, the essence? You know, if you were to travel through the entire cosmos, could all of the wisdom and the divinity that exists out there, could all of that be collapsed into a single book or a collection of books? I highly doubt it. You know, the spiritual essence, it's experiential. It's something that is experiential. It's not outside of us, it's within us, and therefore each one of us contains the truth. But back to what I was talking about just a minute ago, you know, the tapping into those realms of the collective unconscious, and witnessing or experiencing the myths of our past. It's like that collective conscious, those myths, those things that shaped civilization thousands of years ago. They still exist within this realm. What's another word for it? You guys probably know. I'm sure that you know. I can't think of it at the moment. But you know, like all of that is available to us, and there's this wisdom there that when we can tap into it, how we were talking about earlier is that changing the perception that we have today changes how we experience every single thing inside of our life. It changes who we are. Christopher, I believe, I gotta make sure I'm not stepping on something here. I gotta pull back up your comment. I believe our ancient ancestors knew a better life. You are an old soul. Your mindset demonstrates your wisdom. Great video today, brother. Thank you. Hi, you're welcome, Christopher. So glad you made it on here, man. Thank you so much. You know what, guys? And honestly, I think him peacing out is a good time. I've hit 30 minutes of just rambling. I don't want to make this boring. If you guys could you please hit that thumbs up video? Let people know that this is worth watching. Subscribe, share if you feel is worthwhile. And I will see you on Monday, my friends, with Mentor Mornings. Until then, have a fabulous weekend. A fabulous weekend. Hey, how you doing, Hartley? Good to see you on here, brother. I assaulted the like button. Thank you so much, my friend. All right, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. See if you can't spend a little time this weekend in that now, present moment. And if you are feeling sadness, if you are feeling anger, if you are feeling depression, let yourself feel it completely and see what the other side of it is like. I love you guys. See you Monday. Rise unconquered.